Hello and welcome everyone, I'm Madals and I'm here with some exclusive content from the ESET UK Masters. All of this week I am covering the finalists, taking a look at some of their games, some of their play styles, and giving you, the viewer, a little bit of insight into them. Just so, if for whatever reason you haven't picked a favourite yet or who you're going to be supporting come the 22nd to 25th of March, then you should have a bit more of an informed decision. So, I'm going to start off by introducing our finalist. He's in the top right position of Daybreak. He's playing as the Blue Protoss. It is NightEnD. And now his opponent, down in the lower left, some of you may or may not have heard of him. He goes a bit under the radar. He's often known for the fact that he's so polite and just sportsmanlike. It is, for Team Evil Geniuses, IdrA. So this is actually a really decent matchup. Actually, I'm really looking forward to it. It's a ZVP. And, well, while we wait to see what they're going to do, because it's probably going to be a forward fast expansion now NightEnD, because that's still the most common way Protoss players open, and, well, the pylon's already down. And for IdrA, much more likely to be a 15 pull, then a quick hatchery, then a quick third base. So now we've got what their openings are going to do. I'm just going to keep an eye on them, just make sure that nothing too funky happens, get a little bit of a follow going on a probe and things like that, and tell you about the lovely NightEnD and how he managed to get his seed in the finals. So, for those of you who don't know, NightEnD, he plays for Fnatic. He's 25 years old and from Romania. And, well, basically he got his spot in the ESET UK Masters Grand Finals by coming third place in the... Well, no, he didn't actually come third, he came second place, get that right, in the Invitational Qualifier number 1. So the first online qualifier we had, he managed to get through it, he played very well indeed, and therefore, he got his spot straight away. He took down some big name people, he took down Baby Knight for a start, Tefal, and also Happy Zerg in some really great series, and he's happy about getting through to this, because anyone would be happy to get through to a tournament where you can win a chunk of £10,000 of a prize pool. So, really looking forward to having NightEnD come over. He's been under the radar a little bit recently. He's been involved in lots of online stuff, various different tournaments, but I suppose his biggest result ever, so to speak, in StarCraft 2 was probably his DreamHack Winter 2011 when he came 4th. Or alternatively, he did really well while he was over in Korea training with the Fnatic team house. He trained properly hard from April 2012 all the way through to July 2012. So he is without doubt in full-on StarCraft 2 mode. He's been playing loads of Heart of the Swarm, I know. I've spoken to him on Skype a couple of times, and he's just all-round solid and a cool guy. So really excited to see what he's going to be throwing out here. And so far, it looks like it's a Nexus first. The Forge is down there, we've got the cannon coming up, the gateway about to finish, the third base for IdrA coming down nice and early. That came out pretty much just after the 4-minute mark, and it's now just checking around with Zerglings to take a look at what could be happening. So, all in all, this game is looking to be going into the later stages, at the very least mid-game, because that's really where most of the action comes. So let's talk a little bit about the mid-game strategies they could be employing against each other. NightEnD, he's got a huge amount of options. He could get down a quick Stargate, go for some Oracle harassment. He could also get down the Mothership Core, go for Blinkstalk harassment into the third. I know it's something that I've seen some great players do. IdrA, he could go Roach Hydra, he could go Swarm Host Corruptor. Those are really the two main avenues people tend to go for. Muters are also an option, because with their increased health regeneration, it's really difficult to take them out and actually destroy them, because unless you kill them straight off, in at most 2 minutes they're back to full health, and then you start running into some problems. So I know some Protoss players are struggling with that. Other things NightEnD could do is he could just go full on Sky Toss. He could go for that nice composition of Colossi, get some Void Rays in there as well. There's lots of different things he could be going for, but generally speaking, IdrA, he's probably going to be more reactionary. Both players do have the option in Heart of the Swarm to go for various things. Zerg players can actually force quite a lot out of a Protoss by what they go for. Roach Hydra has a different response, for example, to just say Swarm Host Corruptor. Swarm Host Corruptor, the best way to deal with that for NightEnD is to get some Observers out, get some Tempest out, and just try and snipe the Swarm Host off from afar, and that kind of forces you into Sky Toss style. So that's what we'll keep an eye out for. But at the moment, NightEnD, he's getting out the Mothership Core. That's a normal time to get it, at around the kind of 44 supply mark, just when you've got the 16 worker saturation at your natural base to get all the minerals when you don't need the extra gas quite so soon. Because he's getting it down with the +1 ground weapons, it's unlikely he's going to be going for any kind of air toss pressure or anything like that. Much more likely just to go for some gateway pressure into the third base. With the Twilight counter, it could very well be Blink as well. So that's what I'm predicting out there for IdrA. He's not really revealing too much. He's just getting quite a few Zerglings out actually ready to defend this, and you do have to commit quite heavily, ultimately due to the fact that there's the Mothership core out. It gives a nice bit of extra damage as well, and it just makes things a bit more tricky to hold. But with so many Zerglings here, IdrA shouldn't really have too much problems. Probably going to try and deny this third, and indeed it does now just get chucked out. And this is really indicative of what we've seen from people such as WhiteRa, and most of the big name Protoss players against Zerg take this third base exceptionally fast. But straight away the counter goes down there for NightEnD. He knows he's not going to be able to get back, he's not going to defend that, and just pulls out. So that's fine, getting some additional gateways up. No Blink getting started yet though, so got to keep an eye out to see when that starts, if it does get started. But no, it won't be. It's going to be a Dark Shrine. So DT's coming out very early on. This Zealot, this Stalker getting in the best position they can. Ultimately they were going to die regardless, but back to the corner just means that they can take as many Zerglings as they possibly can with them, and actually quite a few kills getting racked up on the Mothership core as well. Does go down now, that Stalker, so the Speedlings are able to come and run around and be a bit irritating, but the cannon there with the sentries there shouldn't matter too much. IdrA though, he did a nice job picking off that third, but as we can see, more gateways in production. It's going up 5 additional gates, plus the one we've already got. That takes us to 6. We've got the proxy pylons coming down. No wall prism, so we're not going to be seeing anything too funny. Blink also on its way out, so maybe just walking in a couple of DTs to try and harass a little bit. And of course, IdrA, he's going to have to get down some spore coolers if he wants to do that. They don't require an evolution chamber anymore in order to get them started, so that's fine. Although IdrA does have the double evo down, getting +1 missile attack and also armor. That's not too much of a giveaway though, because ultimately that could be going into Swarm Host or Roach Hydra. Both benefit from those upgrades very nicely. As we're seeing though at the moment, that poor Overlord is taking some shots from the sentries. The Mothership core grant and Vision of the High Ground. NightEnD trying to retake this third base. Some Speedlings are on their way over though, so this should be able to survive now, but you've just got to be a little bit careful not to lose any of the sentries, because that is going to be one of the big targets for IdrA potentially. He's just going straight in though, and he gets taken out pretty hard. Nothing lost there for NightEnD. Meanwhile, behind this, IdrA getting up the Infestation Pit and the Hydralisk Den. So this could be Swarm Host, this could be Roach Hydra still, both viable. Could be a combination of all of it. But look at this. This is 5 DTs, and this is where you literally cross your fingers, your toes, your arms, and your legs, all hoping that there isn't a spore cooler there, but unfortunately there is. But in come the DTs. Now the DTs could actually just start trying to snipe that down as fast as possible. The drones and Zerglings getting pulled back, but this many DTs actually just have great amounts of damage output. We've also got a small gateway force coming from the other side. The Infestation Pit getting targeted. This is just delaying the tech for IdrA quite nicely, and if he does manage to snipe it off, which it appears so, that's a really great win for him. He's now going to go and start trying to work away at the Hydra Den, and well, these DTs suddenly paying for themselves by knocking IdrA back somewhat into the dark ages of the tech world. So mass recall goes down, those units get out of there. Did a DT survive? I'm not entirely sure. You can see that no, unfortunately they all died in vain. The double Hydralisk Den coming down now. And you might be thinking, why the double Hydra Den, Madals? That seems a bit strange. Really, it's just to get the double Hydra upgrades out, which obviously IdrA needs to do now to hit certain timings. Otherwise, he would get just too far behind in terms of it. 1-1 also finished up now for IdrA, or will be imminently. For NightEnD, he's got the 2-0 upgrades, starting +3 ground weapons. Only single upgrades at a time though. Now though, this pylon is going to go and get taken down eventually. We've got a lot of units sitting around up here. Although IdrA doesn't actually know it's there. He's just hiding behind. He's just like, I guess there's nothing up there. No pylon, no probe, nothing like that. It's fine. That's good news for NightEnD, who's starting to move forward now. He's got Blink done. He's got that +2-0 upgrades, as we've previously mentioned. Muscular augments and group spine coming down for those Hydras at the moment. But no replacement on the Infestation Pit for the time being. So that means no Infestors, no Swarm Hosts coming out, no Hive Tech either. And as we can see, NightEnD is just moving forward. He's coming up here. If he gets a good attack angle, it wouldn't actually be so bad of an engagement to take, because he's got a good number of Stalkers, but the Zealots and the Hydras will start wrecking that. But the Stalkers just come straight up and in, and they're going to have to be very, very careful now, because those Speedlings are going to start coming forward, and quite rightly, NightEnD jumping out of there. Could chunk down a couple of force fields just to try and stop the Hydras, because the Hydras do shred gateway units, but those force fields do hit, but unfortunately there is a gap in one of them, so that means the units can run around the sides. Speedlings coming from the other angles as well. The Hydra's getting a bit bugged on the AI there, so not walking around the force fields, and as we can see, these Stalkers doing some nice damage, blinking forward. That's a brave move up against Hydras, but it's paying off for NightEnD at the moment. He's doing some nice damage. IdrA forced to produce a lot more Hydralisks, which are about to get the off-speed creep upgrade, and yeah, All in all, I would say NightEnD, he just needs to keep the pressure on. He's got his third up behind this. Another Time War goes down, but unfortunately the Mothership core falls as well. But with so many Stalkers here, we can see that the Hydra is starting to go down a lot quicker than IdrA would really like. And the Zealots, they're helping tank through and tank up some of the damage, but so many Hydras are coming in for reinforcements now. I think this is going to be the end of the push for NightEnD. He blinks forward, but he's going to have to retreat. Getting a lot more Zealots coming in. There's also the double Colossi production coming in behind this. And Colossi is ultimately the best response you can have against this Hydra Zergling composition. Very squishy, very vulnerable to a lot of splash damage. So absolutely fantastic play out of NightEnD at the moment. He's just forced a lot of units out of IdrA, and as a result of that, he's actually one probe ahead of the drone count. And at the 14-minute mark, that is nothing to shy away from. That's a good point. But IdrA is coming in for the counter-attack at the moment. He's got a lot of units coming across the map. Extended Thermal Lance is a quarter done. The first two Colossi are now out, but the defense is going to be pretty difficult for NightEnD, especially if IdrA decides to push down to this third, where there are 3 cannons, but unfortunately the units are all up at the natural base to defend, but an observer does spot it, does see it coming in. That will allow NightEnD to move down. Those Colossi are going to have to deal with so much damage and survive for so long. A Photon Overcharge very well may go down on the Nexus imminently once there's enough energy on it, but still needs an extra another 25 energy. In comes some more Warpins. The next 2 Colossi are nearly done. Extended Thermal Lance though still isn't down, but we can see that even without that, the Hydralisks are melting. The Zerglings are melting to this War of the Worlds style play from the Colossi at the back, but unfortunately the third base gets sniped off for NightEnD, instantly restarted though, and these Hydras are gonna potentially get some kills if NightEnD isn't careful. But now going up to 4 Colossi, he's not actually in a bad spot. He starts moving forward. IdrA getting out the Spire, so potentially going into some Mutalisk style play, potentially, or much more likely just aiming towards late game Broodlords. And as we can see, the Stalkers coming forward, getting some more kills off NightEnD. He's going for the counter aggression yet again. So this back and forth play is so common now in Heart of the Swarm. It's always great to watch. And as we see the Colossi, oh, what are you going to do, Colossi? Are you going to keep going? Yes, NightEnD, he's going for it. He doesn't have any proxy pylon up here anymore, so he can't warp in and harass this 4th base. So he does need to be a little bit careful there because he doesn't have those reinforcements imminently. But as we can see, Zerglings, Hydras are coming forward. NightEnD, he's pulling back. He's trying to get a couple of shots off on those Colossi whenever he can, still some more damage. Another blink forward. A lot of aggressive blinking coming out of NightEnD. Definitely likes trying to engage and on his terms. And as you can see, these Colossi now melting through all of these Hydralisks, and there's only more coming out. And this is a problem for IdrA because suddenly he's losing so much stuff. Suddenly NightEnD becoming very, very cost effective, taking out those Overseers as well, and now just pulling back, not wanting to overcommit. His third base is back up now. And well, as we can see, NightEnD is definitely showing us that he is a solid player at the moment. IdrA, he's just remaxing, but getting some Corruptors out, and those Corruptors are really important because that's going to allow him to start taking out those Colossi. And once the Colossi start dying, he's actually going to be able to engage his force straight up because Hydra Ling is incredibly potent against a gateway-only force. The Colossi are what tips it in NightEnd's favour, but NightEnD, he's going to be trying to punish the fact that IdrA just took a big engagement and lost a lot of units. He's moving up towards the top of the map. Just got to be careful not to get himself cornered, which is one of the downsides of coming up the top here, but he's coming in. The Stalkers need to focus down those Corruptors very quickly indeed, but currently just setting up the top drones. Oh my goodness, the drones, they're transferring. Oh, this is very careful. In come the Hydras, in come the Zerglings. NightEnD just moving back for the time being. Can you feel the tension right now? This is NightEnD. Can he do it? Can he actually manage to take out this hatch? If he does, he'll be in a good spot because he'll put himself back on equal basis. IdrA's trying to take a 5th though. There goes down the Time Warp, allowing the Colossi to get a couple of shots off. Can kite backwards and forwards over this Time Warp bubble, and it will allow NightEnD to engage relatively well. You can see he's picking off so many of these Zerglings incredibly well, but the Corruptor count is so high. 13 out on the field. Upgrades 3-0 against 2-2, but here comes down some Corruptions trying to hit some of those carriers, some of the Colossi, and as we can see, the Corruptor's doing some very nice damage. But there's a forward blink, and while all of the Colossi are dying, we can see that the Stalkers have cleaned out with their help all of the ground army, and now these Corruptors aren't able to deal any damage to anything, so we're just setting dust. And Corruptors have gone down on the Stalkers just to increase the damage they take, but as you can see, the Speedlings coming in, trying to surround, but NightEnD, he's just got an almighty supply of units. He's also warping in more back home, he's getting in more Colossi, but this base is definitely going to go down. A lot of drones going down here as well. NightEnD is taking the supply lead for the first time in this game, and that is really a critical moment for him. If he knocks out the hatchery, he's going to hurt IdrA's production even more. IdrA's just pulling back quite wisely and going for a little bit of a Zergling run by counter-attack. NightEnD taking the 4th. The hatchery has now fallen. If we look at the worker count, 61 to 63, So still very, very close. NightEnD though, he's killed 17 drones so far. Could be about to lose a couple of probes if he isn't careful though, just due to those feelings. This center 5th base, which is now the 4th, is taking a lot of damage. Those 2 Colossi coming in, the Corruptors are going to be able to take them out. Could really do some with Void Rays in order to deal with the Corruptors, because of course, being armored units, Corruptors take a huge amount of damage from Voids, but the Colossus does manage to stay up, is able to take out that center base, and suddenly IdrA now down to just 3 bases, and NightEnD switching into SkyToss behind this with the 3 Stargates. However, we see Zerglings are attacking, trying to deal some nice damage, pushing up, pushing in. A cannon is there though, so he starts chipping away. The probe getting pulled as well, just to make sure that actually I am going to clear this up. Can afford to lose a couple of workers, because ultimately IdrA down to just those 3 bases. His main is pretty much mined out. His natural is still looking okay, but getting lower. Engagement in the center of the map, and we see the Corruptors coming in, getting Corruption down to try and do some bonus damage, but a forward blink comes down from NightEnD, and that's because he feels he can take this engagement and win. And IdrA just leaves the game there. And well, NightEnD, he had some good play, thoroughly good control out of those Colossi and also those Stalkers, and IdrA just was coming up against the blank wall, and with the fact that we saw the fleet beacon in production before we flicked to the splash screen, NightEnD, he was ready to go SkyToss. So, what do you think? Does that show IdrA isn't up to scratch, or does it indeed show that NightEnD potentially has the chance of getting a high spot in the ESET UK Masters Finals? Let me know in the comments below, let me know in the TL thread. Make sure, of course, you check out ESETUKMasters.com for all the latest information about the tournament, the players, etc. Also, if you check them out on Twitter, it is at ESET UK Masters, Facebook.com/ESET UK Masters, and all of my details are on screen anyway. So thank you very much for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. If you did enjoy it, then like the video, and of course subscribe to the channel, because I'm doing a profile of each of the grand finalists for ESET. So yeah, check back daily, they're going to be coming up all the time. I'll also stick them all in a playlist for you. I'm Madals, bye for now.